Could Kenjaku be the mastermind behind everything in Jujutsu Kaisen, manipulating both Sukuna and Gojo at the same time? These are two powerful warriors that Kenjaku could never defeat on his own. But what if he makes them defeat each other? There are many hints pointing to this idea, but consider this. The ultimate showdown of this series might not even be between Sukuna and Gojo at all. Instead, imagine Itadori and Kenjaku facing off, each harnessing new powers, the Six Eyes and the power of the King of all curses. It's like a rematch between Gojo and Sukuna, but without either of them. Yuji, as he always was meant to, gains control over Sukuna's power while Kenjaku takes over Gojo's body, pursuing the most formidable power in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. A true main villain. Let's talk about it. We need to understand one important thing. Even though Gojo is the most popular character in the series, he's not the main character. However, if you think about it, you will realize that even if he's not the main character, he has been in the spotlight since the beginning of Jujutsu Kaisen. There must be a reason for this. No other character who isn't the main character who isn't extremely significant to the story gets a whole flashback arc alongside a movie. In the movie, he may not have been the central character just like in the original series. Essentially, it felt like another flashback centered on Gojo. Sure, it's based on Volume 0 and all that, but let's face it, the structure of the volume aligns perfectly with Jujutsu Kaisen's essence. It's evident that the focus shifted primarily to Gojo. Even when he wasn't seen much in the series after that, he remained important. Everything focused on the fact that he was sealed. Before the Shibuya arc, everyone talked about how he would be sealed. After that, the story was all about how to free him, so he could save the world. Now the story is about Gojo fighting Sukuna, the most powerful curse user in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. When we think about any possible outcome of this fight, whether Gojo wins or loses, his significance and the impact on future chapters after the fight against Sukuna will remain. Just like it was the case with the whole prison realm situation, he's a character who is in the focus, whether he is dead or alive. If he dies, many believe the series is over, because who else could possibly defeat Sukuna and even Kenjaku, who might try to take over Gojo's body? I know some believe that nobody can control the Six Eyes and that no one can possess his body. But even if that's true, we can't overlook the fact that from the beginning of the Culling game, Kenjaku acted as if Gojo wouldn't be in prison forever. He even seemed to know that Sukuna wanted to fight Gojo. In fact, it seems like this is all part of his plan. This suggests that the whole point wasn't to lock Gojo away because he would interfere, but possibly because Kenjaku wanted a specific cause from that prison realm. So maybe something about Gojo might have changed beyond just his mental state, especially given the potential time distortion inside the realm. Maybe something happened to his body that now allows Kenjaku to take over Gojo's body. We don't know. Can we be sure this isn't true? If this is the case, I see three potential scenarios. First, Gojo might have been transformed into a cursed spirit, allowing Kenjaku to absorb and control him. I find this doubtful since it begs the question why battle Sukuna first. It could be that Gojo is just too strong and must be weakened first. Second, perhaps the prison realm did something that enables Kenjaku to use his power to possess Gojo's body after his death, if the Six Eyes presented an obstacle to this. And third, if we consider Sukuna as a cursed spirit and not merely a cursed object, Kenjaku might aim to absorb him instead. Again, this might not be directly possible due to the need for Sukuna to first be weakened. Things get tricky if the prison realm's true intent was altering Gojo's body so Sukuna could possess it, like he does with Megumi's body, a vessel, not a prison. This would set the stage for Kenjaku to consume both of them at the same time. By doing so, he would possibly gain not only the greatest power in the Jujutsu Kaisen world, but also the abilities of the King of all curses. That is, if things even work that way. Possible, but I wouldn't like it. Yet, there's a solution I really like. To grasp it, we need to understand who the true antagonist really is and what the climax of this series is going to be. Everyone expects Gojo and Sukuna to have the big final fight in Jujutsu Kaisen. After all, that's the final arc. A climax without the main protagonist? I doubt it. But what could be bigger than a fight between Sukuna and Gojo? It's really challenging to envision anything surpassing a fight like that. It's clear that in Jujutsu Kaisen it's hard to pinpoint exactly who the main villain is. We have the strongest sorcerer in the world with a unique perspective on things. He's so powerful that if he wanted, he could dominate the world, and no one could oppose him. Gojo has even thought about this. We know this because he's mentioned that trying to reach the top position in that way might be pointless for him. Not many will follow him due to the overwhelming power and forced control. So he gathered strong allies to support his vision, a plan he seems to have had for years, even when Geto was alive. In fact, it appears Geto introduced this idea to Gojo. There were moments where Gojo questioned whether Geto was right. Geto once told Gojo about his plans and said if Gojo disagreed, he should just stop him immediately. The fact that Gojo didn't stop him right away suggests he pondered over Geto's idea. He might have disagreed with Geto's methods, but he didn't completely dismiss the core of what Geto proposed. Remember, Gojo didn't kill him the first time. Now Gojo has taken out all of the elders except one, who he believes can be controlled. This indicates Gojo might be dealing with an internal conflict, especially if his time in the prison realm affected his mindset. Also, it raises questions about his intentions after the battle. Why make such a big move right before a major showdown? It's at least suspicious. Maybe Gojo plans to win and then leverage his recent actions to bring about a big change in the world, one that not everyone might agree with. Or he's preparing for his own end, which is equally concerning. The issue is that Gojo is on the brink of death. He can't engage in another battle unless someone finds a way to heal him. This makes the idea of him being the main villain highly unlikely. The same can be said for Sukuna when you consider his physical state. Both have brain injuries. Nonetheless, Sukuna was often hinted at being the main villain. He's very dangerous for all humans. He doesn't want to destroy humanity, but instead aims to enslave everyone, and likely become the king of the world. Given his strength, his plan isn't very surprising. It's direct, no morals, no depth, no twist. I doubt that such a straightforward approach will end up being the main villain plot of the series. Often it's the unexpected characters who become the main villains. In this context, Gojo seems to fit better, considering both his intentions and his status as the strongest. But as I said, both Gojo and Sukuna seem finished after the battle. No matter who wins or loses, both could die. And if one of them survives, they are an easy target. Either the sorcerers will take down Sukuna or Kenjaku will take down Gojo. Possibly even both of them at the same time. Sukuna is definitely not part of the future Kenjaku envisioned, let's be honest. He's a mere weapon for Kenjaku. He surely won't wait for any of them to heal themselves or be healed by others after the fight. Kenjaku must get rid of both, and Sukuna only exists to get rid of Gojo first. I feel that many overlook Kenjaku's role in the series, even though the fandom does recognize Kenjaku's presence and importance. Few see him as a major player in the long run. I find this puzzling. He's the reason the main character exists, why Sukuna is alive, why the culling game is happening, and why Gojo was sealed. Essentially, he's behind the clash of the two strongest individuals in the world. He's been alive and manipulating events for centuries. He has the potential to steal anyone's power, from curses and sorcerers. Currently, he's behind the scenes and everything is going as per his plan. Kenjaku wants to change the world in a way that fits the profile of a main villain. This doesn't mean just mindlessly killing and trying to become the king of the world. He seems to lean towards Geto's vision and possibly Gojo's too, which is why he's using Geto's body, at least from a symbolic perspective. Keep in mind though, Gojo's interpretation of Geto's idea is a much softer and human-friendly version, and Kenjaku's goal is much more extreme. But now let's think from his perspective. What's his plan after the fight? If Sukuna wins, he will likely have kept his end of the deal and will be free to do as he pleases. Knowing Sukuna, his top priority might be getting back at Kenjaku for bossing him around. Kenjaku's probably expecting this. That's why he mentioned that if Sukuna defeats Gojo, everyone will gang up on Sukuna. He's not afraid of him. The main thing left for Kenjaku is to become so powerful that not even the other participants in the culling game can defeat him, which is where Gojo's body comes into play. This will give the real main character of the series, Yuji, the spotlight he deserves. However, Yuji has hinted that he will be the one to defeat Sukuna, and based on something Gojo said many arcs ago, since Yuji doesn't have his own curse technique, he will learn to control the ones that belong to Sukuna. So the idea is if Sukuna Sukuna defeats Gojo, Yuji will use the missing finger at that moment to pull Sukuna back into his body, freeing Megumi from the king of all curses. But unlike Megumi, who's just a vessel for Sukuna, Yuji is like a prison. This means he can face Sukuna inside his own mind. We have seen that the two can physically fight inside their shared consciousness and set conditions based on their outcome. The last time this happened, Sukuna secured a way to possess Megumi. This time, Yuji could be the one to propose a deal. Whoever wins gets control of the body and the powers of the other. If Sukuna wins, he gets Yuji's body. If Yuji wins, he gets Sukuna's powers. But while that fight is happening inside Yuji's mind, Kenjaku takes over Gojo's body and in doing so, gains the power of the Six Eyes. This means we will see a second round of Sukuna versus Gojo, but this time, it wouldn't be Gojo and Sukuna fighting. Instead, it would be Kenjaku and Yuji, both using the powers they have taken in addition to their own abilities. So what do you think of this Jujutsu Kaisen video? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more Jujutsu Kaisen content, then subscribe to this channel with the notification bell activated, and see you soon in the new Jujutsu Kaisen chapter review. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.